Three. Thank you.
Hello and welcome to B-Side. I'm your host, Eli Smith, founder of the Brooklyn Folk Festival. Tonight on B-Side, I'm very pleased to share with you a great band that we're featuring at this year's festival, which is taking place April 5th to April 7th. We have with us La Cumbiamba eNeYé. Welcome to the show, welcome to the show. We're going to introduce the band here. Martin, can you introduce the band?
Yes, thank you, Eli. First of all, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Our leader, singer leader, vocalist, guitarist, composer, you name it. Nilko Andreas Guarin on vocals, please.
Thank you.
Sebastian Cruz, who is also a composer and a guitar player. Great percussionist. Sebastian Cruz on percussion. Julián Gómez, nuestro querido Julián Gómez, the youngest of the band, on percussion and backup vocals. Cristian Rodríguez, en la percusión, school teacher, educator, great percussionist. A drummer, a great friend of mine, a Gaita player, Cristian Quimbay. And, my name is Martin Bejarano, and I play the Gaita and percussion.
Well, thank you all so much for being here tonight. I was wondering, well, first of all, what was that last song that you played? That was beautiful. What was it?
Oh, thank you. That song is entitled La Palma, which translates to the palm tree. And it was written by an old gaitero by the name of Juan Lara. And we learned the melody, and we made an arrangement, and we recorded it back in 2010. And yeah, it's a puya. It's in the rhythm of puya. And yeah, it features the flutes and the drums.
Mm-hmm. I wonder if you could take a moment to describe your music for people that may not know the style of music that you all play. What is it? Where does it come from? When does it come from?
Okay,
say a few words.
So this kind of music, we call it Gaita music. It comes from the Atlantic coast of Colombia, the Caribbean coast. And it features three cultures, right? During the years of the colony, the Spanish colony, 16th century, 17th century, the syncretism between these cultures took place in the Caribbean coast of Colombia. So we have the flutes, which represent the indigenous communities, the indigenous culture, and the indigenous musics of the region of Colombia. These flutes are called cuisi, but the Spaniards named them after their bagpipes. So we call them gaitas today.
Oh, that's
Gaita, Gaita.
Huh.
But the original name is cuisi or suarra or chuana, right? And they are made out of cactus wood.
Wow.
And feature a mouthpiece. It's a quill from a duck's feather.
Wow.
And the head of the instrument is a mix of beeswax and charcoal powder. Two flutes, one plays the melody, the female plays the melody, and the male flute plays the bass accompaniment and the maraca, right? So this is our indigenous heritage. Then we have the Africans from the African drums, right? That came with the Africans. They are part of the African diaspora in Colombia, in the Americas. And then we sing in Spanish, of course, because we are also European in that sense. So this music brings these three cultures together.
Wow.
And it's we call it música mestiza, mestizo music.
Yeah, right. Well, it's really wonderful music. It's a real treat to have you here tonight. I wonder if you all could play another song for us.
Yes, we're going to play an original of the band. It's called Pie Pelado. On the rhythm of porro. P-O-R-R-O.
Thank you. Gracias.
The combination of the twin flutes with the percussion and the singing is absolutely wonderful, and something that I don't think I've heard anywhere else, or really from any other tradition. Is this? Tell me a little bit more about that song. My Spanish is embarrassingly bad. Could you tell me what that song was about? And I'd also like to ask you more about the origins of the music. But
we are making reference to the art of dancing barefoot.
Yeah.
Barefoot dancing, right? I grew up in a household where dancing was paramount. My mother was is a choreographer and a dancer. And when I wrote this song, I was thinking of her, talking about the importance of feeling the floor, the wooden floor, and dancing barefoot. But also when you dance in the countryside, many times you dance barefoot. And when when you're hanging out in the beach, you don't wear sneakers, right? You wander barefoot. Anyway, so this song talks about that. It talks also about the different rhythms we have within this Gaita music complex. We have Gaita, porro, y cumbia, which are similar in tempo and cadence, but there are certain nuances that make them different from each other. So this is what the song talks about, and with a little bit of metaphorical meaning, we carry the song.
Sure. Well, you mentioned the word cumbia. A lot of people are familiar with more contemporary or popular versions of cumbia. How does your music relate to cumbia music that people might have heard before?
Yeah, we could refer to this kind of music as cumbia roots. This is the primary format with which this cumbia music was developed with, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
This is making sense? Okay, so this is like traditional cumbia in its most tribal format, right?
Yeah.
And then somewhere at the end of the 19th century and the beginning and the middle of 20th century, cumbia became more of a mainstream genre.
Yeah.
Mainstream, that it's debatable.
Well, popular music was developing as a whole at that time, and
correct.
Cumbia became
and the
part
influence
of
from the United States and the Caribbean, the music from the Caribbean, specifically Cuba, and the way they orchestrated, the way they performed, the instruments they used, influenced our recording industry, right?
Yeah.
So we ended up recording our music with that sound, and that's how the cumbia that most of us are familiar with became a reality. But this cumbia you're listening to, it's cumbia roots or traditional cumbia.
The word cumbiamba, what does that mean?
So cumbiamba, it's a generic word, right? It refers to the groups that play at the cumbia party or the cumbia festival or the carnival, right? So a cumbiamba is a group of people, often from a village, dancers and musicians. They get together and they perform. So we named the band La Cumbiamba eNeYé, which eNeYé are the letters for New York, right?
Yeah.
So las siglas from New York State or New York City.
Yeah.
So La Cumbiamba from New York.
Are you guys all from Colombia originally, or are you from New York City, or
We are indeed Colombians.
Yeah.
Born and raised. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, for instance, Nilko is from Bogota. Sebastian was born in Cali, but he grew up in Bogota. Julian is from Pereira, from the coffee land, right? Christian was born in Tolima and grew up in New York City. And Christian, Kimbay, and myself were both from Bogota as well.
Now, you were mentioning that the music's origin is kind of on the Colombian coast. There, is that a place that you all have visited or spent time over the years, or?
Yeah, we definitely go to the coast often, right?
As a band, have you?
Not as a band. I mean, I've taken this repertoire to the Gaita Festival.
Wow, right
this repertoire we put together with Sebastian Cruz and Nilko Andreas during the first decade of the 2000 the years 2000. And then I was able to travel with other fellow friends who are not here today to the San Jacinto Gaita Festival.
These are sort of substantial festivals for the music in Colombia.
Gaita music festival.
Wow.
There's only this, very traditional. You wear a uniform, you play the genres and the sub-genres that are mandatory to be played at the festival. It's kind of like a contest too. It's a contest. But so we took this repertoire 3 times in a row, and we won the second prize on the amateur category. Us being from the city, we don't participate as professionals, although we're professional musicians, if you know what I mean. It's complicated, but anyway, so we got this recognition twice, and we are planning on returning this year if possible.
Well, I love the music. I'd love to ask you for another song before we continue our conversation. But if you will, please.
Yes, let's play. What's next? Okay, here it comes. It's a cumbia. It's an actual cumbia. Well, it's similar to the music you guys are listening to, but this one is in the cumbia category. Okay, it's entitled La Cumbia Continental. If I may, I just wanted to, for those of you at home and for our audience, when I said that we participated at the festival as an amateur, because they have 2 categories, professional and amateur. And yes, we are professional musicians, but what I meant when I said that we come from the city is that this music is countryside music, right? This is music developed and invented by the peasants.
By farmers?
Farmers, right? And this, in Colombia, we've had a civil war that has gone for over 60 years. And they have resisted and they have survived to this. And this is one of the tools they have for their amazing capacity of resilience, right?
Yeah.
To survive this crazy world. Anyway, so that's what I meant.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Tell me more about the instruments. These are gorgeous handmade instruments. I wonder who made them.
Well, these gaitas in particular were made by Henry Ortiz in Ovejas. It's a little village in Sucre, the departamento de Sucre. And I'm not sure who made your instrument, Chris?
Bertoni's Jaraba en El Banco Magdalena.
Bertoni's Jaraba and El Banco Magdalena.
Okay.
This was made by Fredis Arrieta from San Juan Nepomuceno. And that tambora, we don't really know, but
That's a great sounding drum.
yeah,
It's-
our mentors, our teachers, our Gaita idols are
Yeah.
the ones who made their instruments. As I said,
What
they
part
make
of
their
the
instruments.
cactus is that?
Excuse me?
That's part of a cactus?
Yes, so it's a cactus called cardón, C-A-R-D-O with an accent N, and it grows like a fractal, right? Imagine my hand is a cardón
Okay, yeah.
tree,
And each part
each
repeats.
one is like a complex of joints,
Yeah.
and they grow very long. And
Yeah.
because they're heavy, they lie on the floor, and then each joint is a flute.
Wow.
Per se. So what
that's
you can do
great.
is you cut it and you peel it off, right? And then you
Yeah.
proceed to take the chlorophyll and whatever is inside.
Yeah.
You push it out of it with a red hot rod, and then you let it dry, and then you make the holes, and then
Sure.
you make the head.
How is you said that the mouthpiece is made out of a duck quill?
This particular one is a plastic straw.
Okay.
It's
What
because
does it-
they
what
are
does
more
it do?
resistant.
Okay.
They're more resistant. They don't break as easily.
Yeah.
But traditionally, we use a quill from a duck's feather.
And you're blowing into
Yeah.
that? Okay. Okay. Right.
So the
Wow.
chamber, it's built with this beeswax and charcoal powder mix, right? So they make a little chamber here, and that's where the wind blows.
How old is this style of flute? Do they know how long they've been made that way?
Great question. Yeah, we don't really know how old it is, but it's very, very old. It comes from a big mountain right next to the Caribbean Sea. It's called La Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta, and there are three main communities of indigenous people over there. The Cancuamos,
Tribal groups?
right, tribal communities.
Yeah.
The Cancuamos, the Cogis, and the Arhuacos, right? And they are the ones who invented the flute.
Wow.
The flute, prior the arrival of the Spaniards and the Africans, was smaller.
Okay.
And they play more like melodies that resemble the sounds of nature, right? So it was more aleatory and more improvised. And then when the three cultures came together, the flutes gained in size and power, and also the melodies were evolved accordingly, right? So the Spaniards brought their melodies and their sensitivity, which had some Arab in it, right? Arab sensitivity in it. The Africans brought their melodies, and the indigenous people had their own melodies, and that's how this music became a style of music.
Yeah, wow. And the flutes, I mean, were there drums in what's now Colombia before the Africans came?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, not this kind of drums, but indigenous drums,
Right.
right? So smaller drums, definitely percussion instruments, right?
Yeah.
Rattles.
Why are the flutes male and female? What does that mean?
Okay, so the female flute plays the melody,
Yeah.
right? And it is the leader of the band,
Yeah.
right? Just like at home, right? We follow the leader. So the melody plays, the female flute, la gaita hembra,
Yeah.
Cuisi Bunsi, plays the melody, right? It's in charge of leading the group. And the male flute, the gaita macho, or Cuisi Sigi, plays the accompaniment. It follows the female and plays the maraca, which is the link between the flutes and the drums, okay? So it's a marriage.
Yeah.
It's a marriage, and they make love when they sound together.
How did this band happen? How did you all start out, and when did you all start out?
I personally moved to New York City in 1999, and I started playing and practicing with a friend of ours. His name is Ian Betancourt. And then Sebastian Cruz and Nilko Andreas in the summer of 2000 came along.
Yeah.
We became, I had met Sebastian back in the day in Bogota, and then I met Nilko Andreas in the park during a concert. And then he was singing, and I was impressed by his singing, and so I invited him to join this new project we were starting with Ian Betancourt. And that's how we started playing gaitas and drums, right? And then with years, we also make arrangements for a larger ensemble featuring trumpet, euphonium, clarinet, saxophone, electric guitar, vocalists, and drums. And that's another format we also work with. And yeah, so it's about to be 20 years. Although Sebastian is 17 years old, that's it. Something doesn't add up. Anyway.
Well, we're thrilled to have you here tonight and at the Brooklyn Folk Festival that's coming up. Please, another song.
Yes, Siempre Llega. Chris. So the next song we're gonna play, it's a different form. It doesn't feature the flutes. It's only drums and vocals, right? So, and it's entitled Siempre Llega. It's, we're optimists, and we believe in love and resilience and friendship. And so this is a message for all the people who are struggling emotionally, and just keep up the fight, and the universe will provide. Yes, it talks about the poetry, everything. All right. ¿Estamos listos?
Dale.
Presentadas.
A quien tenga soledad, a quien tenga alguna pena, venimos a cantar cosas bellas de la vida, alegrar el corazón. Siempre tienes un motivo para poder celebrar. Por más lejos que tú creas, el amor está de ti. Abre los brazos al cielo. Tienes que pedir. A quien tenga soledad, la vida vamos a alegrar. A quien tenga alguna pena, venimos a cantar cosas bellas de la vida, alegrar el corazón. Siempre tienes un motivo para poder celebrar. Por más lejos que tú creas, el amor está de ti. Abre los brazos al cielo. Solo tienes que pedir. ¡Vamos, vamos! El amor siempre llega con un tambor al bailador. Hay un poeta y esa flor, hay esa flor, una dama, una dama. El amor siempre llega, hay un tambor al bailador. Hay un poeta y esa flor, una dama, una dama. El amor, ¡hey!
It's kind of short because we're live, right? But when we play live at the Folk Festival, it's going to be extended version of every song.
Right on. Well, should we do? We could have another song
Oh,
right
beautiful.
away, or
Yes,
is
right
that,
away.
All right, yeah.
Right, so now we're going to take it down a little bit. This is a bullerengue. It's called El Loro y la Lora. It's a traditional song. The previous song is an original of ours on Son de Negro rhythm, going into a chalupa rhythm. And now we're going to play bullerengue, which is a slower rhythm, going into a chalupa.
Could I ask you to demonstrate the rhythm in like a a way, like a simple way that even I can understand, like could try to understand? Like what's the difference between a rhythm that you just played and the one that you're about to play?
The one we just played is in 6/8. So
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Right, and the one we're about to play, it's similar to a cumbia, so it's more laid back, you know. Llamada, por favor. Llamada. Right?
How do you count that?
So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then it goes into the other one, which is like cut time. Chalupa.
That's great. Hard not to dance.
So are we having our audience dancing tonight or? Okay, this is El Loro y la Lora. It talks about the relationship between a parrot and his parrot lady. Let's go.
Palma. El loro y la lora
Estaban loreando,
el loro y la lora
estaban loreando,
y yo tras la reja
estaba mirando,
y yo tras la reja
estaba mirando,
el loro comiendo
y yo trabajando,
el loro comiendo
y yo trabajando,
de que se mantiene
flor del verano,
de que se mantiene
flor del verano,
trabaja y trabaja
Hurra.
ay trabaja y trabaja y trabaja
Hurra.
ay trabaja compañero trabaja
Hurra.
ay trabaja hombre agachado y trabaja
Hurra.
el loro y la lora
estaban loreando,
el loro y la lora
estaban loreando,
y yo tras la reja
estaba mirando,
y yo tras la reja
estaba mirando,
el loro comiendo
y yo trabajando,
el loro comiendo
y yo trabajando,
de que se mantiene
del verano,
de que se mantiene
flor del verano,
ay trabaja compañero trabaja
Hurra.
ay trabaja hombre agachado y trabaja
Hurra.
ay trabaja y trabaja y trabaja
Hurra.
ay trabaja hombre agachado y trabaja vamos Ramón uy bye
Oye, Cristian.
vamos Cristian ay trabaja y trabaja ay trabaja y trabaja y trabaja ay trabaja compañero trabaja ay trabaja medio lado y trabaja ay trabaja y trabaja ay trabaja y trabaja y trabaja ay trabaja compañero trabaja oye, trabaja y trabaja y trabaja el loro y la lora estaban loreando el loro y la lora
estaban loreando,
y yo tras la reja
estaba mirando,
y yo tras la reja
estaba mirando,
el loro comiendo
y yo trabajando,
el loro comiendo
y yo trabajando,
de que se mantiene
flor del verano,
de que se mantiene
flor del verano,
trabaja compañero y trabaja ay trabaja compañero y trabaja ay trabaja de lado y trabaja ay trabaja hombre agachado y trabaja azúcar me llamo yo azúcar me llamo yo azúcar que el refinado azúcar que el refinado azúcar me puso el paje el día que me bautizó azúcar azucarao azúcar azucarao azúcar 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 azucarao azúcar azucarao azúcar azúcar, azucarao, azúcar, azucarao. ¡Opa, vamos!
compañero y trabaja.
Trabaja, compañero, y trabaja. Trabaja de medio lado y trabaja. Azúcar me llamo yo. Azúcar me llamo yo. Azúcar que refinado. Azúcar que refinado. Azúcar me puso el paje y el día que me bautizó. Azúcar, azucarao. Azúcar, azucarao. Azúcar, azucarao. Azúcar, azucarao. Azúcar, azucarao. Azúcar, azucarao. Azúcar. Thank you.
Oh, that's amazing, inspiring music.
Thank you.
Well, I wonder if I could ask you about, just for yourself personally, how did you get into playing this music specifically? And was there music in your family, or was there an older musician that was influential for you? How did that happen for you?
Well, I grew up in a traditional dance group.
Okay.
But they were not cumbia dancers. They danced different genres from the interior of the country, like from the mountains.
Yeah.
But I was exposed to all the other cultures in Colombia, like, right? So my mom and her friends were friends with the gaiteros, were friends with the other musicians. And my mom had a dance school, right? And next to it, there was another dance school, but it was an Afro-Colombian dance school. And so I was, exposed to that from an early age. Then I became I started taking drum set lessons when I was 14. And then at 15, I took percussion lessons with Gilbert Martinez. Mm-hmm. He's a great percussionist. At the time, he used to work with Carlos Vives. Mm-hmm. And he grew up with Totola Momposina and Los Gaiteros de San Jacinto.
Wow.
And so what happened is that I'm taking a conga lesson, right? And then at the end of the session, of the class, he said, "What are you doing next? I have a rehearsal. Why don't you stay?" And the musicians arrived, and I stayed there and watched the rehearsal. And the rehearsal was a Gaita music rehearsal. Mm. And I was so impressed and so inspired. I said, "Forget about the congas. I want to play."
What was it that impressed you at that time?
Something about the flutes, and also the fact that the music was from my culture. Mm-hmm. And being there, I got to understand it a little bit better. And so I was learning Afro-Cuban percussion and this beautiful stuff, right? But this was, it hit right here. It was like going back home. And I said, okay, so that's who I am. And so I'm gonna follow it. And I started taking lessons with Gilbert, and then I started traveling around the country.
How about the flute? How did you learn to play?
Gilbert played flute.
Oh,
he taught me the first melodies.
Wow.
Yeah, and so Gilbert Martinez, wherever he is, he's a great educator and a great human being. Yeah.
Did you study the music, in a formal way in school, like later on, or just started playing?
I started taking lessons with him, and then he would take me to little gigs, right?
Yeah.
So play the llamador, play the huache, clap, carry the drums.
Sure.
So that was my job.
Yeah.
And then I went to school, but for other things, right? I went
Yeah.
for jazz, and then I took a theory class.
Yeah.
So I have a degree in music theory. But I was always a percussionist, and I was always playing gaita.
Yeah.
So with the years, I got an understanding of the traditions, and with the help of my friends, we put this band together, and we developed this sound. Yeah.
Well, we're very much looking forward to having you in April at the Brooklyn Folk Festival. Do you have any other gigs here in New York, or are you planning on touring?
Not really. We have a residency at the Terraza 7, which
Okay.
is this lovely venue in Queens. We play there once a month. And so I think April 12th would be the next one, so after
the
festival. But nothing, we're just training and practicing hard for the folk festival. Actually, no, I mean, I've always looked forward to perform, and when I received your email, I was like, yeah, man, let's bring the cats
Yeah.
and let's make it a party. And because I want to, we've worked hard to get this music, to keep the band together, and
Sure.
and to
Yeah.
stay current with our sound and with our friendships and everything. So
Are you writing? Or do you all write songs frequently? Or
we write melodies, we collaborate, and as I said, everyone here has different projects. They're
Yeah.
band leaders.
Sure.
So, but when we come to Cumbiamba with the Cumbiamba mindset, we just share these traditions. We have all taken lessons from the masters, and it's a great thing. So we're happy. We're looking forward to go to the festival.
Well, thank you. Yeah, let's
Let's
play some more music.
Yeah. What's
Thank you.
next?
Thank you.
Oh. This is danceable, by the way. This is danceable.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. The combination of the flutes together with everything is so powerful.
Thank you.
Oh, I think we have time, if you all will, to have another song
Right.
at this moment, if
Great,
that's all right.
Did you guys want to hear another song? Yeah. Una más.
But before that, let me hear it for this great set of musicians. Nilko Andreas Guarín on vocals, Sebastián Cruz en la percusión y en la voz, Julián Gómez Londoño en el llamador. ¡Alegría! ¡Alegría! Cristian Rodríguez en la percusión y en el coro, Cristian Quimbay en la gaita macho. Mi nombre es Martín Bejarano. Thank you so much. And we have here our families, our dear families and friends, and thank you, BRIC TV. Thank you, David, everyone, for having us. Eli, thank you, man. Thank you. We're gonna say bye with a song entitled Negrito Cabeza de Cera.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you all so much. Well, I thank you all very, very much for being here with us tonight. I wonder, do you have an album or some recordings that people can find, can look up?
Yes. We recorded 2 albums. The first one in 2006 entitled Marioneta, featuring our arrangements and compositions. And you can find it right here. We have a few for sale, are $5 and $10. Please take them home. And the other album, it's called La Palma, and it's a double album. It features this ensemble, and it features the full orchestra, the full band with the horns and everything. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, iTunes. YouTube.
All over the internet. All right.
Yeah. Please look up for our music. Follow us. Stay tuned, and we'll see you on April 5th.
That's right.
At the Brooklyn Folk Festival.
Well, thank you, Martine. Thank you, everybody. And we're just about out of time. But before we go, I want to give another huge thanks to La Cumbiamba eNeYé for transporting us away to the beautiful coast of Colombia on this chilly New York winter night. I'm Eli Smith of the Brooklyn Folk Festival, and a reminder that you can catch La Cumbiamba eNeYé and dozens more amazing bands at this year's festival, April 5th to April 7th at St. Anne's Church in Brooklyn Heights. Check out the lineup and get your tickets at brooklynfolkfest.com. And as always, you can check out this and all past episodes on the BRIC TV YouTube channel at youtube.com/BRIC TV. And check out the podcast version at soundcloud.com/B-side podcast. Stay tuned for one more song after the credits, and see you in April at the Brooklyn Folk Festival.